Why does intense pleasure feel meaningful and why is it not enough? I've caught myself thinking this more times than I'd like to admit. If meaning comes from paying attention to life, then why not chase the most intense pleasure you can get? Because pleasure forces attention. When something feels overwhelmingly good, you don't have to try and be present, you just are. In those moments, thinking stops. There's no future planning, there's no replaying old conversations, there's no background anxiety. You're just here. And I remember thinking, maybe this is it. Maybe meaning is not about discipline or restraint or becoming a better person. Maybe it's just about intensity of experience. Before going further, I need to be really clear about this. This is not me moralizing. I am not anti pleasure. I am not interested in telling anybody how they should live. I am asking something more uncomfortable than that. I am asking, how does your attention actually work in your life in real time, and whether the attention pleasure gives me and you is the same thing as being present in life? Because I used to assume that it was. Intense pleasure grabs attention the way pain does, or fear, or a sudden loud noise. Your nerve system is flooded. There's no room left for commentary, no inner narrator, no distance. And for a while, it can feel profound. It can feel like you're really alive. But looking back, I realized something very unsettling. I didn't choose that attention, I was just seized by it. And there's a very big difference between being seized by something and choosing to be in it. Now, this is the part that I don't like admitting. Every intense peak quietly rewrites your baseline. So, what once felt extraordinary starts to feel normal. That's what I mean. What once woke you up becomes something like a background noise. Now, this is not weakness and it's definitely not a lack of gratitude. It's just plain biology. And when the intensity fades, which it always does, what often comes next is not always pain. It's often worse, right? It's flatness. There's nothing that's wrong and there's nothing that's right either. And that emptiness is deeply uncomfortable to sit with. Now, here is where there's a subtle shift. Okay. So, when pleasure stops being enough, we don't suddenly become present again. We start scanning for the next hit, for that next spike, the next thing that might wake us up. Not because we're shallow and not because we're greedy or anything of that sort, but because somewhere along the way, we learned that intensity equals being alive. At that point, attention is not on life anymore. It's all about avoiding the dip, which is why we spend so much time on our phones, which is why we spend hours and hours doom scrolling. Now, there is another kind of attention. It doesn't feel impressive and you can't post it. It doesn't just spike. This kind of attention can sit with pleasure. It can also sit with boredom, with awkward silences, with discomfort, and with the dip. That's the most important thing. It doesn't need experience to perform for it. And I've noticed painfully, and this is a consequence of getting older, that this attention is a lot harder because nothing really carries you. You have to stay. Now, why does this discomfort matter? I used to think we avoid discomfort because it's meaningless. I don't think that's true anymore. We avoid it because it doesn't flatter us. Discomfort doesn't always promise growth or transcendence or insight. It just says, this is what is happening now. And staying with that without reaching for relief requires a different kind of courage altogether. I've come to believe this. Endless pleasure cannot deepen my attention, it can only outsource it. Life would become something that happens to me instead of something that I'm inside of. A meaningful life, lived meaning, is not optimized for pleasure, it's oriented towards honesty. Pleasure can visit, love can visit. Pleasure is simply an aspect, love is an aspect, intensity is also an aspect of this experience. But presence, deep, engaged presence with your life is what stays. Now, if any of this landed, it's probably because it's not something new. It's because it puts words to something you've already felt and maybe you never trusted yourself to say it out loud. I hope this was really helpful. This is one thing that I want you to think about today. Thank you.